Hi everyone. Hope your fall is off to a great start. Matt from Ballot Iowa here, and I'm excited to share with you the results of our supporter election to choose a favorite music style using Voting 2.0. First, a quick reminder, Voting 2.0 consists of two simple upgrades to the way we vote. First are what are called single open top 5 primary elections. All the candidates go on a single ballot, all the voters pick their favorite candidate, and the top 5 advance to the general election. The second change is ranked choice voting for the general election. Instead of picking only one candidate, you rank them in the order you like them, from your most to least favorite. Now, the best way to learn about any new idea is by seeing it in action, which is why we did this mock election. So let's get right into it. In this vote, we asked supporters and state fairgoers to vote for their favorite music genre. We started out with a wide pool of 9 choices. Everyone was emailed a ballot where they could vote for their one favorite choice. Let's take a look at the results. The 5 leading candidates from this vote were rock, classical, folk, country, and hip hop. All 5 of these candidates were then selected to advance to a ranked choice voting election that we gave at the state fair to determine the final winner. So let's take a look at the results of the general election. So here's what a ranked choice ballot looks like. These are the 5 musical styles to choose from, and you select your first favorite, second favorite, third favorite, fourth favorite, and fifth favorite. In fact, you don't have to rank candidates that you don't like, although your vote goes further with the more candidates you rank. It's as simple as that. We've talked to thousands of state fairgoers who are shocked by how simple and satisfying this process is. In fact, we'll get children, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, who can fill out a ballot in a few seconds without hesitating. Ranked choice voting gives you backup choices. You have the power to take a chance on a risky candidate, knowing that if they can't win, your vote moves on to your next choice. That means no more settling for the lesser of 2 evils. Now here's how you find a winner. You can see that rock is the clear frontrunner, but it doesn't have a majority of the voters' first choice votes. In fact, more voters combined preferred country, hip-hop, folk, and classical to rock for their first choice. In our current system, rock would win this election even though it doesn't have a majority. There would be a legitimacy gap and voters would be frustrated. They'd probably encourage classical, folk, and hip-hop to drop out of future elections. But that's not right. We shouldn't be afraid of having more choices in our elections. Luckily, ranked choice voting gives us a clear way to find a winner, even in a 5-way race. If no candidate wins a majority of the vote, you eliminate the last place candidate, in this case, classical. Classical voters' votes don't go away. They go on to their next choice, shown in the light purple here. Now we still don't have a majority, so we eliminate the next lowest candidate, which is folk. Their voters' votes move on to their next choice. We still don't have a majority yet, so finally we eliminate hip-hop, whose voters actually cast the deciding vote in this election. And at this point, when their voters' votes go on to their next choice, we see that rock is the clear winner. Rock ultimately wins the election, but we can be confident that it was the most popular option now, because we can see that this is the candidate that the most voters can get behind. So at the end of the day, what do these changes mean for you? First, they mean that you don't need to pledge allegiance to a party to participate in the primary elections. And second, they mean that in the general election, instead of picking one, you rank your favorites from a list of 5 choices. It's as simple as that. But it's also important to ask, why do we want to make these upgrades? Well, we've talked to over 10,000 voters throughout the state of Iowa, and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, Independent, or Democrat. Voters feel ignored and trapped, and in fact, they are ignored and trapped. And voters are sick of having their options limited. Most voters we talk to feel like most elections are a choice between somebody they tolerate and somebody they'd never vote for in a million years. And it doesn't take a genius to realize that that's not a real choice. The Voting 2.0 upgrades, their whole purpose is to open elections up to more options. They mean that new ideas, new issues, and new candidates actually have a shot at competing in the election process. They mean that there will be less gatekeeping. Voters, not parties, will decide who gets to be on the final ballot. They move our political culture away from divide and conquer politics. In a two-way race, you win the election by throwing mud at your opponent. In a five-way race, you have to distinguish yourself by your actual merits. What have you done? What have you accomplished? And what are you going to do? And ultimately, these changes mean that your vote matters more, because when politicians can no longer take elections for granted, they actually have to work to build a broad coalition to win, and that means they're going to care what you have to say.